Welcome back. You're here with Brett Stalcup, my esteemed colleague and friend, and I am Carcass John, aka John Fossum, and you are here with the Lessons with My Lawyer podcast. We appreciate the support you've given us so far. We admonish you to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Lessons with My Lawyer. If you'd like, you can also send us some questions or a short video to lessonswithmylawyer@gmail.com. How are you doing, Brett?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. Once
Carcass, you're
again,
good.
it's always a choice.
Yeah.
It may not turn out the way you want, but man, you make a choice whether it's going to be good or bad, I think.
Yeah.
But we have a little change of pace. I'm just going to hit you with some questions and get your immediate response. How's that sound?
Like it.
Okay.
All right.
First question.
All right.
How often do innocent people actually get convicted?
Very seldom.
Because,
Evidence and discovery rules have changed where every county has a portal. And so the state has to put their discovery into the portal, make it accessible to the defendants, one's accused. And it takes a lot of time to look at it, dog. But they got all the cameras now. Every popo's got a camera. So when you look at evidence, you're looking at offense reports, you're looking at indictments, you're looking at affidavits, you're looking at videos. That's the reason we don't have that many jury trials anymore. You can't. You don't have time for it. There is no way you can go to trial 10 times a year and know everything you need to know before you go to trial. That is looking at all the discovery. So in the old days, it used to be trial by fire. You go into the courtroom and state had their stuff and you had your stuff, and you both threw it on the wall, see what would stick and see who won.
so
But
is this a good thing that evidence or that presentation is readily available to both sides?
absolutely, it does away with eyewitness testimony as the only circumstantial evidence that's used to convict somebody. That's a tough
Okay.
one, dude, because I won a case on this one time.
Hmm.
It's like when someone's holding a gun at you, it's proven that you're not looking at their face, you're looking at the gun. That makes your identification very loosey goosey. You know what I mean? I want a case on that.
Interesting, because you're not looking at the features of the person, you're looking at the intimidation of the gun.
You're looking down the barrel of the gun as the
Yeah.
saying goes.
Interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
next question.
Yeah.
Uh, is there a law you don't think should exist?
Man, is there a law that I think that should not exist? I think that no, matter of fact, I'm quite the opposite. I think that need to be more strict on, like, our DA said that convicting somebody, he wouldn't file a case for someone stealing less than $700 or possession of marijuana is a citation, maybe, but not a case. Man, we used to put people on probation for a pound of marijuana for 10 years. But people don't realize smoking weed, the weed that you get today and what it is covered with, uh, is 100 times as strong as the weed back then. Hydro, you got all sorts of THC. And don't tell me that possession of marijuana doesn't lead to harder drugs. I'm about sick of hearing that. Or don't tell me that I have a prescription for marijuana, so I'm allowed to smoke it, and it's the best thing in the world for me. I don't believe that.
Okay, we could venture down a whole bunch of different roads. Uh,
Yeah,
okay, next question. What happens if someone dies during trial?
the trial ends.
It ends just
Over.
flat out.
Yeah.
Done.
Case dismissed.
So doesn't matter whether you're the defendant or the
No, it's over.
okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
So that sort of makes that whole
I've
and I
never
don't
heard of
want to
that happening though, Carcass. Have you heard? Do you have a specific case or you just pulling stuff out of the air and get trying to?
no, I'm pulling stuff out of the air, but you watch enough movies and there's witness intimidation and you see people, I guess I watched too
Never,
many movies.
never seen that except for, okay, back in the day on cocaine, uh, so cocaine sort of changed everything. 1991, it was really the hot drug that was on the street, very expensive to get. So all that was at the courthouse was Mercedes and Porsches, and because all the executives were being charged with possession of cocaine. But cocaine, then the Jamaicans came in. The Jamaicans, they would really protect their territory. So if a Jamaican's dealing in some area in South Dallas and you start dealing in that area, they shoot you in the leg, in the thigh. Hurts. You're going to live, but you're going to remember it, right? But the other thing about the Jamaicans is you couldn't represent them. You'd need to win at the grand jury because they couldn't go to trial. Why?
I
Why?
don't know.
Because their accent.
Oh,
You put a redneck jury together to hear a bunch of guys talking Jamaican, no problem, man. They can't hardly speak English. That's an instant conviction.
hmm.
Yeah.
What if they were in another part of the country where people were more accustomed to that, like maybe up north or
That ain't gonna happen.
no, not gonna happen.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. Um, okay. How often do lawyers burn out? This
Very
this kind
often.
of harkens back to something I was thinking about, something you'd said previous episodes about how hard you had to work when you were first in the DA's office in Dallas County and you just worked, 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 worked.
Yeah, that's why I still am. I'm still afraid. I have a fear of failure embedded in my bones. And I'm learning to take some time off. I'm leaving next week, going to Florida, fish, and with my wife and my kids. I'm gonna fly fish in Delray.
So is that part of the culture of being an
Oh
attorney?
yeah, you better believe it is. If you're good. But here's what happens. See, I do a lot of different stuff. I do family law, I do criminal law recovery, I do litigation if it's fun. I do business litigation. I do intellectual property litigation. Make it interesting because I can learn anything. Products liability case I got coming in right now. That's fun, right? I had a friend of mine tell me a long time ago, Dickie Corbett, God rest his soul, he was cool. Fun guy. He said, Stalcup, you got to get out of this criminal courthouse, man, because if this is all you do, osmosis takes place and you start looking like your clients after a while. That is so true.
Wow,
It's
that's
true.
interesting.
It's true.
My dad used to tell me when I was a kid, you are the people you hang out with.
Yes, it's so true. It's the
And
same
maybe
in
that was
criminal
right.
defense. It's the same here in criminal defense. You start looking like the guys you're representing.
That's probably not a good thing if it's criminal.
Well, so here's what's happened. We went from cocaine that you could buy for $100 for a little baggie, right? And I don't know how long it lasts somebody, weekend or whatever. Then it was rich. Suits, Porsches, Mercedes, lawyers, money machines, everybody rolling in, right? And then methamphetamine and crack came, $25 for a high. And once you do it, you're done. And it cooked your brain, cooked your teeth. And cooked your money. Pretty soon you have nothing. And you're in the courthouse and we're trying to rehab crack addicts and methamphetamine addicts by jail, does not work. That's a whole nother episode about SafeP and the data behind SafeP and its failure of a program. You cannot force somebody to get recovered. But once methamphetamine took over, it changed the whole system,
Hmm.
changed the whole identity of the courthouse.
Imagine so.
Yeah,
Okay. How reliable are lie detectors?
very reliable. Depends who's giving it.
So is that admissible?
Well, my next question is where?
Okay. Is it admissible in the state of Texas?
Depends where.
Okay. Let's say that your lawyer's present and you've said, I'll take a lie detector test. You can test me all you want.
It's not called lie detector.
Oh,
It's called polygraph examination.
okay.
And the best time to use one is in a diddling case where a young one's accusing you of diddling, or a theft case, whether you took something, something like that. What happens, I use it all the time because we got Rick Holden, who's probably the best polygraph examiner in the United States. So I'll call Rick and I'll set somebody up because I want to use it, right? Before somebody gets indicted. It's admissible at the grand jury. It's not admissible in trial.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
So, all right.
I don't expect you to know that. But listen, Carcass, it's a great tool to use in the grand jury. If they
Especially
pass
if
a
you're
poly
innocent.
and you're sitting on a grand jury and they ask you to go to no bill, true bill, I would have a hard time true billing somebody that passed a poly.
Hmm.
I've won a
So
bunch of cases like that. I'm giving away my secret formula, but I've won a bunch of cases like that.
awesome. Okay. So, what would be deemed a dangerous legal advice that people want to follow?
Uh, Self-defense. Using the self-defense to pull a gun on a road rage case, or if someone's broken into your house, it's not as bad if someone broke into your house because you've got a right to use deadly force if you feel threatened in your house. That whole dragging them in, that's all junk. It's not true. But in order to have a defense, guess what has to happen? You have to be arrested,
Oh,
right?
interesting. Yeah.
So it's sort of a hypothetical. Uh, it's a term used where people don't know what they're talking about. Oh, I could use self-defense. Yeah, but guess what? You got to be arrested first before you can use it. It
Hmm.
used to be that way, like on unlawfully carried a weapon. Well, I'm going county to county. It used to be a defense, traveling from county to county, right? Guess what has to happen before you use the defense?
You have to get arrested.
You have to get arrested.
Hmm.
You want to get arrested over carrying a gun without having a permit, saying county to county? You're going to spend about $7,500 to get that fixed.
Yeah. Well, that's why I have a permit.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Okay. What is a right that people think they have but actually don't?
What is a right?
That people think that they have, but they actually don't. It's like a fallacy, or it's just a old wives' tale, as my mom would say.
One of them is that you think they don't have to give a blood test after they've been drinking when the police officer gets a search warrant. you got to give it.
Okay, but that's the key. They have to have a warrant.
Yeah,
Okay.
have to have a warrant.
You can say no, and I think you had mentioned this before. You can say no initially, but if they get a warrant, then you don't have a choice.
Yeah, they're going to
Correct?
take you down to that chair and beat the hell out of you until you give it.
Well, hopefully that's not happening. Then you have a whole nother case. Okay. I had asked you about this earlier, so you said you didn't really answer the question, but you did answer the term. But have you ever had a case involving a whistleblower?
No,
So tell me what you
because
told
you know
me
what's
about a
interesting is this.
whistleblower.
A whistleblower is a snitch, right? Is a glorified paid snitch. I don't like him.
Well, what about somebody that
But here,
let's say,
here, let me finish. Let me finish.
okay, all right.
So a whistleblower is like somebody working a job and they say, "Oh, but I don't know. We should be getting paid time and a half for that instead of just regular time because that requires special training. And we're just like hourly employees." So they call the Department of Labor and they file a complaint, sealed complaint, and they're a whistleblower. Dude, small businesses do everything in the world to bust their chops to make sure everybody gets paid. So in that type of scenario, that really irritates me. You try to make somebody a better employee, try to make them better in their life, yet you found a little weasel way to make $10,000. I don't like it. But there are whistleblowers that, I think the largest whistleblower case was like $250 million. Those are on the big SEC claims, right? Fraud claims. And there's a whole False Claims Act and division of the government where a whistleblower lawyer takes your case, files the lawsuit sealed, and the government likes it and they jump in. You're going to make, 10 to 15% at the end of it if it is. So there's a whole area of law over there practiced by whistleblower attorneys that they probably do very well on, I would imagine. They know what they're looking for.
Well, so what I was going to say before I rudely interrupted you, and I'm sorry about that, but so if somebody is working somewhere and they see fraudulent activity happening and they feel like because of the scenario, they feel like they need to be covered. Because if this thing goes south, I'm right in the middle of it. So they come to you and they say, Brett, I've got this situation at work. I don't know what to do. I know they're doing, I see the books. I'm privy to this. I see what they're doing. Uh, and I think, is this fraudulent or not? And what would you advise them on something like that? Is that truly a
I tell them
whistleblower?
to quit their job and shut up. Crickets. Hire me to represent you in the criminal case, but I want you to quit and I want you to be quiet. And I just think that that's the best way to go.
Okay. Well, you know what? I'm learning. I'm seeing a pattern here. I think the best thing to do when there's a question is just stop talking.
Yeah.
Call you and stop
Lawyer up.
talking.
Lawyer up.
Awesome. Well, I
Yeah.
think that's been a good kind of a rapid fire, trying to shake it up a little. We've had a whole bunch of interesting listener questions, and we're going to get to those in future episodes. But once again, we remind you to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And if you do have a question for us, lessonswithmylawyer@gmail.com. And Brett, until next time. Appreciate your time, appreciate your expertise, because this is something that not everybody gets to do.
Yeah.
So thanks again.
You're welcome.
We'll see you.